Pi Network just leaked their own GitHub repository, and what I found buried in the code will absolutely blow your mind. We're talking Bitcoin integration, Ethereum bridges, pre-verified assets, and applications that have been ready to deploy for months, maybe even years. And the market has no idea this exists. What's going on, guys? It's TJ back with another one for TJ Crypto World, and today we're diving into something that literally just surfaced within the last few days. Someone posted screenshots from Pi Network's Explorer repository on GitHub, and the code reveals integration points with external blockchains that completely change the narrative around what Pi is actually building. I'm talking about anchor systems connecting to Bitcoin and Ethereum networks through fchain.io, asset files linked to SureRemit and smartlands.io. This isn't theoretical infrastructure, this is production-ready code sitting in repositories right now. And if you think that doesn't matter, you're missing the entire point of what's about to happen. Now listen, stick with me through this breakdown because I'm going to show you the exact GitHub commits that prove this isn't vaporware. I'm also going to explain why Pi trades at 20 cents when the infrastructure suggests it should be valued way higher. And towards the end, I'm dropping my honest take on whether this actually changes the investment thesis or if it's just more smoke and mirrors. But first, let's talk about what these repository files actually reveal. So, here's what happened. An account called Cryptocurrency PI, and yeah, I know it's a fan account, not official Pi Core team representation, posted screenshots from Pi Network's Explorer repository. Now, before you dismiss this as just another random social media post, understand that GitHub commits don't lie. Code repositories show actual development work. You can't fake commits. You can't fabricate integration files. And what these files show is frankly shocking if you've been following the Pi as a scam narrative that's dominated crypto Twitter for the last couple years. The code identifies multiple integration points with external blockchains. We're seeing Bitcoin network connections, we're seeing Ethereum network bridges. These are running through anchor systems hosted on fchain.io. But also, asset files are explicitly mentioned that link to SureRemit and smartlands.io. For those who don't know, SureRemit is a digital voucher platform, and Smartlands focuses on tokenized real-world assets. These aren't random partnerships announced in a Medium post. These are hard-coded integrations sitting in production repositories. Now you might be saying, TJ, if this infrastructure exists, why isn't Pi marketing the hell out of it? And that's actually the most interesting part of this entire story. Pi Network built its ecosystem to launch with immediate usability, not promises. Teams pre-linked applications before making them visible to users. This strategy completely avoids the congestion and broken launches that plague most blockchain projects. Think about how many Layer 1 networks launch with grand announcements, massive hype cycles, and then when mainnet goes live, crickets, empty dashboards, placeholder apps, coming soon banners everywhere. Users show up excited and find nothing to actually do on the network. Pi is playing the opposite game. By pre-checking apps and assets before public deployment, they position the network to be usable the moment infrastructure goes live. Users won't encounter blank dashboards, they'll access live functionality. Wallets that work. Cross-chain bridges that are operational. Asset transfers that execute immediately. This is infrastructure-first strategy, not hype-first marketing. And frankly, in a market dominated by projects that overpromise and underdeliver, this approach is refreshing even if it creates controversy. Alright, before we get into the market implications, I need you to do something real quick. If this breakdown is giving you a completely different perspective on Pi Network, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment letting me know if you're accumulating Pi at these levels, or if you're still skeptical. And make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on because we're covering repository-level analysis that you literally won't find anywhere else in crypto YouTube. So here's where things get wild. Pi currently trades on secondary markets around 20 cents. Price predictions for the end of 2025 range between 45 and 60 cents. These valuations reflect extremely low visibility into what Pi has actually built. They don't account for pre-integrated applications. They don't factor in cross-chain bridge infrastructure. They don't price in the 35 million user base that already exists. Markets price what they can see. Pi reveals almost nothing by design. That creates a massive information gap between skeptics who think it's vaporware and long-term holders who've been watching development progress in real time through channels like GitHub commits and community testing. The response across crypto communities is completely split. Some users are confident about Pi's scale and preparation. Others remain cautious because of past delays and the lack of aggressive public marketing. Both perspectives coexist, and honestly, both are somewhat justified given the limited public information. But here's what nobody can argue with. Pi carries a documented history of continuous development and a user base exceeding 35 million people. That scale is unprecedented for a blockchain launch. Most networks go live with a few thousand early adopters and spend years trying to reach meaningful user numbers. Pi is launching with an audience already in place. That fundamentally changes how fast the ecosystem can grow once infrastructure activates. Now also, Pi Network doesn't do aggressive marketing, and that's intentional. They're focused on back-end preparedness, not front-page headlines. The GitHub activity tells that story clearly. Developers are building in silence while crypto Twitter argues about whether the project is legitimate. And here's the thing that makes this approach controversial. It works against them in terms of short-term price action and market sentiment, but it positions them incredibly well for long-term functionality. Would you rather invest in a project that markets aggressively with broken infrastructure, or a project that builds quietly and launches with working products? The cryptocurrency PI account that posted these screenshots might be fan-run, but the repository information is genuine. GitHub doesn't fabricate commits. Code represents continuous evolution, even when fan accounts or community researchers surface this information. The underlying development work is real. That post is building confidence that Pi has substantially more operational infrastructure behind the scenes than current market valuations reflect. And when that infrastructure becomes publicly visible, when those Bitcoin bridges go live, when those Ethereum integrations activate, when pre-verified apps start appearing in user dashboards, the market will reprice fast. So let me give you my honest take on this. The GitHub evidence suggests Pi has been executing a long-term infrastructure strategy while deliberately staying out of the hype cycle. That's either genius positioning or a massive miscalculation depending on how the launch actually plays out. If the infrastructure activates smoothly and users suddenly have access to cross-chain bridges, working dApps and functional financial tools, Pi could see explosive adoption driven by its existing 35 million user base. That would validate the entire build in silence approach. If the launch is buggy, if integrations don't work as expected, or if the infrastructure fails under load, the lack of early marketing won't save them. The user base will evaporate quickly, and the market will punish them severely. Right now, we're in the gap between preparation and execution. The code suggests they're ready. The market hasn't priced that in, and whether you're bullish or bearish comes down to whether you believe the infrastructure will deliver when it goes live. So yeah, listen. Pi Network is one of the most polarizing projects in crypto for a reason. The GitHub evidence is real, the integrations are documented, the user base is massive, but until that infrastructure activates publicly and users can verify functionality firsthand, skepticism is understandable. I'm watching this closely because if even a fraction of what's in those repositories goes live successfully, we're looking at a completely different valuation environment for Pi moving forward. The market will catch up to the infrastructure eventually. So, with that being said, I hope you guys found this deep dive valuable. If you did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because we're covering repository level analysis and infrastructure breakdowns that you won't find in mainstream crypto coverage. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below for real-time updates. And before you go, check out my latest video where I break down 3 blockchain projects building infrastructure in silence that could explode in 2025. I guarantee at least one will surprise you. And with that being said guys, it's been TJ from TJ Crypto World. Thanks for watching. Peace out.